There's a simple truth about success that most people miss. They chase the prize but forget the path. They want the victory but neglect the discipline, and this is why so many quit before they ever taste true achievement. Today, I want to talk to you about a principle that has the power to transform your entire life. Get obsessed with the work, not the results. Success is a byproduct, not the main target. This simple truth is the foundation of all lasting achievement, yet it is the very thing most people overlook. When a person sets their eyes only on the result, wealth, recognition, applause, they are chasing something that is fleeting, something that exists outside of their control. The prize can never be guaranteed, no matter how much one desires it. But the process, the work, the effort given each day, that is the part that belongs entirely to us. To aim only for success is like trying to capture the reflection of the moon on water. It shimmers, it entices, but it vanishes the moment you reach for it. Success is not the goal itself, but the natural outcome of focusing on the right actions done faithfully over time. When people focus solely on the result, they often fall into discouragement. They measure too soon. They plant the seed and a few days later are frustrated that no fruit has appeared. They forget that growth is governed by time and consistency, not by wishful thinking or impatience. By setting success as the main target, they unknowingly set themselves up for disappointment because results come in their own season. They are never instant, and they never belong to the impatient. But when one decides to focus on the work itself, to give their best effort today, regardless of whether the reward is visible, then they are building on solid ground. Every enduring success story proves this principle. The master pianist does not spend his hours at the keys dreaming of the concert hall or the applause of strangers. He becomes great because he loves the discipline of practice, the challenge of mastering each note, the beauty of losing himself in the process. The scientist who discovers a cure spends countless days in the lab, not obsessed with the headlines that may one day praise him, but with the joy of the experiment, the obsession with the work itself. The results that follow are simply the reward that nature grants to those who dedicate themselves entirely to the process. To make success the target is to build life on shifting sand. A person may achieve the outcome they seek once or twice, but it will never sustain them. Once the applause fades, once the money is spent, once the recognition is gone, they will find themselves empty. But the one who builds on the work itself will never lack fulfillment, because the process is endless. There is always more to learn, more to improve, more to create. It is a source that never runs dry. The result is temporary, but the work ethic, the growth, and the mastery remain. True success, then, is not about what we acquire, but about who we become. And who we become is shaped entirely by the work we are willing to commit to when no one is watching, when there is no guarantee of applause, when there is no result yet to show. The person who understands this principle lives a life of steady progress. They do not rush, they do not despair, because they know results are not the target. They are the shadow cast by consistent effort. So the next time you find yourself consumed with results, remember this. Success is never the prize itself. It is merely the proof that the right work has been done, faithfully and persistently. If you learn to fall in love with the work, you will never have to chase success, because it will quietly and inevitably follow you. When people become consumed by results, frustration often follows. The moment we place all of our energy on outcomes, we start living with an invisible clock in our minds. We plant the seed today and expect the tree to appear tomorrow. We begin a journey and constantly glance at the finish line, wondering why it hasn't come closer fast enough. This obsession with results does not accelerate progress, it slows it down, because impatience leads to discouragement, and discouragement often leads to quitting altogether. Imagine a student who studies not because he loves learning, but because he is obsessed with achieving the highest grade in the class. At first, this may fuel him, but soon, if his results do not match his expectations, he begins to lose focus, feel overwhelmed, and question his ability. On the other hand, the student who becomes fascinated with learning itself, the one who delights in understanding new ideas, solving problems, and applying knowledge, finds that grades naturally improve over time. The results take care of themselves because his obsession lies in the daily process of growth. This principle applies to every area of life. An athlete who becomes obsessed with winning the gold medal may train hard at first, but if he does not see immediate signs of victory, his spirit begins to falter. He may feel the weight of comparison and the burden of expectation, but the athlete who wakes up every day obsessed with practice, the stretch, the drill, the repetition, builds mastery step by step. He does not burn out because his joy is tied to the present, not the future. Ironically, this focus on the process makes him far more likely to win the medal than the one who is chasing it from the start. The truth is, results are never entirely within our control. We cannot dictate when recognition will come, when opportunities will open, or when others will see the value in what we do. But the work is always within our control. Our habits, our discipline, our consistency, these belong entirely to us. By obsessing over results, we attach ourselves to something we cannot fully command. By obsessing over the work, we anchor ourselves in what is truly ours to master. Results also tend to play tricks on the mind. They can give us a false sense of success when they come quickly, or a false sense of failure when they are delayed. Many people have stopped chasing their dreams not because they lack talent or dedication, but because they judged their journey too soon. They mistook temporary silence for permanent failure. If only they had shifted their focus from the harvest to the planting, they would have discovered that patience is part of the law of growth. Becoming obsessed with the work means trusting the process even when the outcome is unseen. It means understanding that every day of disciplined effort compounds into something greater over time. It means detaching your sense of worth from external markers and attaching it to the integrity of your own effort. You may not see the progress immediately, but unseen forces are moving in your favor the moment you decide to give your best without demanding instant results. Those who succeed at the highest level are not the ones who stared at the scoreboard all day. They are the ones who trained when no one was watching. They are the ones who poured themselves into the craft because the work itself was the reward. Results are only the echo. The work is the voice. Obsession with the work builds mastery and character. That's one of the deepest truths about success and personal growth. Too often, people become consumed by the desire to see instant outcomes, fame, wealth, recognition. And when those things don't appear quickly, they grow discouraged and give up. But those who anchor themselves to the work itself, who fall in love with the act of building, practicing, refining, and showing up day after day, discover something far greater than just results. They discover mastery, and they shape their own character in the process. Think for a moment about the craftsman who devotes his life to his art. He doesn't sit at the workbench thinking only about the money his creations might bring him. Instead, he's consumed by the detail, the care, and the slow refinement of his skills. With every cut, every polish, every repetition, he is becoming more than a worker. He is becoming a master. This is the essence of obsession with the work. The reward is not immediate. The progress is not always visible. But over time, what emerges is undeniable, a level of excellence that cannot be purchased or faked. When you fixate on results, you set yourself up for frustration, because results are outside of your control. You can influence them, but you cannot guarantee them. The marketplace decides, other people decide, circumstances decide. But the work, the effort you bring each day, that is completely within your control. When you give yourself fully to it, you live in a state of power. You no longer wait for external validation. You validate yourself through discipline, through consistency, through the deep satisfaction of knowing that you gave your best today. And here's the hidden beauty. Obsession with the work transforms you. Every hour you pour into practice, every sacrifice you make to improve, every setback you endure and push through, it's all shaping you into someone stronger, wiser, and more resilient. Results may bring temporary happiness, but character lasts forever. The person who becomes addicted to the process cannot be stopped, because they are no longer working for applause or approval. They are working for growth, and that kind of person will always rise, no matter what life throws at them. The world often glorifies the outcome, the championship trophy, the best-selling book, the record-breaking performance. But the truth is, those moments are just the surface. Beneath every great result is an ocean of unseen work, an obsession that few witnessed. When we shift our attention from the outcome to the process, we step into that same ocean. We learn to endure long nights, to embrace routine, to face boredom with courage, and to keep pushing when no one else is watching. That's where mastery is built. Obsession with the work also frees you from comparison. When you chase results, you measure yourself against others. Who has more? Who is further ahead? Who seems more successful? But when you immerse yourself in the process, the only competition is with yourself. Did you do better today than yesterday? Did you show up when it was hard? Did you improve even a fraction? That kind of obsession keeps you focused on what really matters: progress, growth, and the building of your own unique path. The truth is simple: results are fleeting. A record can be broken, a title can be taken away, a fortune can vanish, but the person you become through dedication to the work can never be lost. That mastery lives within you. That character guides every choice, every challenge, every opportunity that comes your way. And in the end, it's not the result that defines you, but the depth of your work and the strength of the person you became in the process. Discipline is often spoken of as the cornerstone of achievement, yet most people misunderstand what truly sustains it. They think discipline comes from sheer willpower, from gritting your teeth and pushing through even when you don't want to. And while that may work in short bursts, it is not enough to carry you through the long journey toward mastery. What sustains discipline is not the thought of results, but the focus on the work itself, the daily effort, the routine, the action you can take right now. When your mind is locked on outcomes, discipline wavers, but when your mind is immersed in the process, discipline becomes a natural extension of who you are. Think about the individual who wants to lose weight. If the entire focus is on the number on the scale, every day becomes a judgment. If the number doesn't move fast enough, frustration sets in. Soon the discipline cracks, and quitting feels easier than continuing. But if the focus shifts to the daily work, choosing better meals, moving the body, drinking water, staying consistent, then discipline finds its anchor. The number on the scale will eventually change, but it is the commitment to the work that makes it inevitable. This principle stretches across every pursuit in life. The musician who dreams of standing on a stage before thousands cannot force that outcome into existence by will alone. What he can do every single day is pick up the instrument, practice, refine, and fall in love with the notes. The discipline to practice for hours does not come from obsessing about the concert. It comes from engaging deeply with the music. The concert will arrive as a natural byproduct. When we attach our discipline to results, we create a fragile relationship with our goals. The moment the results delay, discipline begins to crumble. But when we attach discipline to the work itself, we free ourselves from impatience. We can endure long seasons of growth because we no longer demand immediate validation. We know that the reward is embedded in the act of working, in the craft, in the routine. And ironically, this is what accelerates results. Those who chase results often quit early. Those who chase the work outlast everyone else. True discipline is not about forcing yourself to do what you hate. It is about training yourself to find meaning in the act of doing. If you wait to feel motivated, you will never build the consistency required to achieve greatness. But if you pour your attention into the task at hand, whether it is writing one page, making one call, lifting one weight, you build a chain of effort that grows stronger with every link. Soon the work itself becomes rewarding, and discipline is no longer a burden, but a habit. The great secret is that results take care of themselves. They are not something you must constantly monitor or chase. They arrive on their own schedule, like a harvest after planting season. No farmer stares at the soil every day, demanding crops to appear instantly. Instead, the farmer disciplines himself to water, to nurture, to care for the ground. And in time, the results arrive in abundance. So the next time you think about discipline, don't tie it to the prize at the end. Tie it to the practice in front of you. Pour yourself into the work, and let the results be what they are meant to be, the echo of your effort. The discipline you cultivate from focusing on the work will carry you further than chasing any outcome ever could. Every small task done well compounds into greatness. It sounds almost too simple, doesn't it? And yet, it is the foundation upon which every masterpiece, every breakthrough, and every empire has ever been built. Too often, people dismiss the small things. They look at their daily responsibilities, their ordinary routines, and they think, this doesn't matter, this isn't big enough, this won't change anything. And because of that attitude, they never build the habits or character necessary to accomplish the larger things they dream of. But the truth is that greatness is not found in a single extraordinary act. It is built brick by brick out of ordinary actions done extraordinarily well. Think for a moment about how a house is built. No builder sets out to place the roof first. No architect starts with the finishing touches. The foundation is laid, and each brick is carefully set into place. Alone, a single brick may not look impressive. But when you place enough of them together, aligned and steady, you end up with a structure that can last generations. In the same way, every small task you do, every email answered with clarity, every lesson studied with attention, every workout completed with discipline, these are your bricks. They may seem insignificant in isolation, but when compounded over time, they become the walls, the roof, the very structure of your success. The problem most people face is impatience. They want the grand results without the small, consistent efforts. They want to leap to mastery without first honoring the basics. But it never works that way. If you cannot handle the small responsibilities, life will not entrust you with the larger ones. A musician does not play a symphony on the first day. He practices scales, sometimes hundreds of times, until his fingers move with ease. A writer does not craft a timeless book in a single sitting. She writes paragraphs, then pages, then drafts, refining word after word until the whole comes alive. The greatness you see in others is not the product of a single effort. It is the accumulation of thousands of small, hidden acts done well. There is also a hidden joy in small tasks. When you learn to pour yourself fully into the little things, you train your mind to respect the process. You learn presence. You begin to see that greatness is not reserved for one grand moment in the future. It is something you can live today, in the way you carry out even the simplest duties. The pride of a job well done, no matter how small, feeds the spirit and builds momentum, and momentum is one of the greatest forces in achievement. A small step leads to another, and another, until one day you find yourself miles ahead of where you began. History is filled with examples of this principle. The scientist who records one observation after another, day after day, until years later a breakthrough emerges. The athlete who repeats drills endlessly until mastery is second nature. The craftsman who pays attention to the finest detail even when nobody is watching, until his work becomes art. Their greatness was not a sudden event. It was the compounded interest of countless small tasks done faithfully. So the next time you're tempted to dismiss the small things, remember this truth. Nothing is wasted. Every effort matters. Each time you choose to give your best, even when the world is not watching, you are building your future. And when those results finally appear, they will not surprise you. They will feel inevitable, because you will know they were earned, one small task at a time. Results are temporary. Work ethic is permanent. This is one of those truths that seems simple on the surface, but carries a depth that can shape an entire life. Many people spend their energy chasing results, money, recognition, titles, or applause. They believe that once they achieve these things, they will have reached the pinnacle of success. And yes, results do matter. They are important markers of progress, but they are fleeting. They can be taken away. They can fade with time, and they can lose their meaning the moment circumstances shift. Work ethic, on the other hand, is untouchable. It cannot be stolen, it cannot be lost, and it cannot be erased by misfortune. A strong work ethic becomes part of who you are. It's not about what you've achieved, but about how you achieve anything. Results will always be temporary, but the habits, the discipline, the consistency you build along the way, those remain permanent, etched into your character. Think of the great athletes. They win championships, they break records, they lift trophies, but trophies collect dust. Records are broken by the next generation. Fame fades with time. What never fades is the ethic that brought them there, the relentless practice, the refusal to quit, the dedication to improvement day after day. Even after the cheers have gone silent, they carry within themselves the strength and resilience that their work has given them. When you focus on results, you tie your identity to things outside of your control. Markets shift, opinions change, circumstances move in ways you could never predict. And when the results don't show up as quickly as you hoped, discouragement sets in. Many quit because they were in love with the outcome, not with the process. But when your focus is on work ethic, you never lose. Every day of consistent effort is a victory in itself. Every moment you give your best builds something within you that no one can take away. A strong work ethic compounds. Just like money invested wisely grows over time, so does discipline. Each day of showing up, even when you don't feel like it, sharpens your edge. Each task done with excellence, even if no one notices, strengthens your character. And soon the results that seemed so far away appear almost naturally, as if they were always meant for you. This is because results are nothing more than the natural harvest of consistent effort. The danger of chasing only results is that you will always hunger for the next one. No matter how high you climb, the satisfaction fades. You will need another win, another milestone, another applause to feel complete. But if your fulfillment comes from your work ethic, you are never empty. Every day is meaningful because every day is progress. You are not waiting for some distant trophy to prove your worth. You are living your worth through the way you work. The world may not always reward you immediately. Results may be delayed or they may not come in the form you imagined, but if you build your foundation on work ethic, you will always have something greater than results. You will have power. The power to endure, the power to create again, the power to rise no matter how many times you fall. This is why results are temporary, but work ethic is permanent, because results live outside of you, while work ethic becomes who you are. True joy and fulfillment do not come from the prize at the end, but from the process itself. Too often, people believe happiness will arrive once the goal is reached, once the results are in hand. They imagine that the trophy, the recognition, the applause, or the bank account balance will finally deliver them peace. Yet history and experience prove otherwise. Results, while exciting, are fleeting. They come, they thrill for a moment, and then they fade. What remains is the daily process, the discipline, the effort we put in, and the growth that takes place inside us while we work. That is the true treasure. Think about it carefully. The athlete who spends years training in silence learns to fall in love with the grind, the early mornings, the sweat, the endless repetition of drills. The day of the championship may last only a few hours, but the years of discipline leading up to it are where the real fulfillment lies. Without the process, the trophy means nothing. The same is true for a writer, an entrepreneur, an artist, or a student. If the only joy is found at the finish line, then most of life will be spent unhappy, because the finish line is reached only rarely, while the work is present every day. Joy comes from engaging in the work with purpose. There is satisfaction in waking up and knowing that today you have the chance to put your best into something that matters. Even when no one notices, even when progress feels invisible, there is meaning in the effort itself. Every word written, every brick laid, every repetition completed is not just a step toward a result. It is a victory in itself. The result is simply the visible evidence of many invisible victories strung together over time. Consider also the nature of results. They can be unpredictable. External circumstances may shift. Markets may collapse. Recognition may not come, even when effort is extraordinary. If our sense of joy depends only on the result, we hand our happiness over to factors beyond our control. But when joy is drawn from the process, we remain in control. No one can take away the satisfaction of honest work well done. No one can diminish the pride of knowing you showed up with discipline, even when it was difficult. The process belongs entirely to you, and therefore so does the fulfillment it brings. True joy is not about arrival. It is about immersion. It is about losing yourself so deeply in the work that time disappears and you are fully alive in the moment of doing. The musician lost in the melody, the craftsman shaping wood with care, the teacher pouring knowledge into young minds. These are examples of fulfillment born from process. They remind us that joy is not an external trophy, but an internal flame, lit each time we give ourselves wholly to the task at hand. When you understand this truth, life changes. You no longer feel anxious about how fast results appear. You no longer compare yourself to others who seem ahead. Instead, you measure your days by the effort you gave, the growth you achieved, and the integrity with which you approached your work. Fulfillment becomes constant, because the process is constant. And results? They come in their own time. They always do. But by then you realize that the real reward has been with you all along, the quiet, steady joy of being obsessed with the work itself. When you stop thinking so much about results and instead dedicate yourself to becoming more valuable, something remarkable begins to happen. You stop working for the applause, for the recognition, or even for the paycheck, and you start working for growth. You begin to see yourself not as someone chasing a goal, but as someone shaping a life. The truth is, results will always come and go. They fluctuate like the seasons, they rise and fall like the tides. But value, what you carry within yourself, remains, and it compounds with every hour of dedicated effort you put into your craft. Think about the difference between someone obsessed with results and someone obsessed with value. The first person works for validation. They might cut corners when the applause doesn't come soon enough. They may quit when the progress is slow. But the second person, the one devoted to becoming valuable, never has to worry about external rewards because value cannot be hidden. It will always rise to the surface. A person who masters their craft, who dedicates themselves fully to the quality of their work, eventually becomes impossible to ignore. Becoming valuable is about more than skills. It's about character. It's about reliability, consistency, and the quiet dignity of doing excellent work even when nobody is watching. The world doesn't reward people because they chase after outcomes. It rewards people because they've built themselves into something worth rewarding. If you focus only on the prize, you miss the opportunity to transform yourself into someone capable of carrying that prize with honor. But if you focus on growth, on excellence, on constant improvement, then the results will not only arrive, they will stay with you because you've become the kind of person who can sustain them. History is filled with examples of men and women who embodied this principle. Their eyes were not fixed on the trophies, but on the craft. Their joy was not in the awards, but in the work itself. A scientist spends years in a lab, driven not by headlines, but by curiosity. An athlete spends countless hours in training, motivated not by fame, but by the pursuit of mastery. A teacher devotes a lifetime to shaping young minds, not for recognition, but because they value the process of helping others grow. And in time, all of these people become so valuable that the world has no choice but to honor them. The moment you begin asking yourself, how can I become more valuable today? Instead of, how fast can I get results? Your life shifts. Value attracts results naturally. Opportunities chase value. People gravitate toward those who bring more than they take. And when you dedicate yourself to becoming that kind of person, success is no longer a chase. It becomes a natural consequence of who you are. So don't waste your energy demanding quick results. Don't measure your worth by how much recognition you've received or how fast the rewards are coming. Instead, pour yourself into the work, sharpen your mind, refine your habits, and cultivate excellence. When you build yourself into someone valuable, the results will always find you. And even if they didn't, you'd still win, because the greatest reward is the person you've become along the way.